Hello and good morning. This is the Breville Barista Pro that I'm selling, model BES878BTR. This is the black truffle. As you saw in the photos, it's in decent condition. This was actually a trade-in. My customer gave it to me in exchange for cash when they were trying to buy the Breville Oracle. So yeah, they upgraded to the dual boiler automatic Oracle. This one is only about 2 years old. Very, very good condition. Internally and on the outside, it's got a few scratches, nothing really major, just the normal wear and tear on the front here. And I've just finished doing a service, so that's mainly doing the cleaning cycles, checking the seals, putting the machine at full pressure for the steam and the water lines, the water and the steam lines. It was immaculate on the inside, zero issues at all. No issues at all, and it will come with a 3-month warranty anyway for your peace of mind. In this video, I'll be making my morning latte. It's going to be testing all the features from the grinder to the brewing to the steam to the hot water tap. I'll begin with my routine. So with every machine, I recommend you start with a blank shot to warm up the components. So grab your portafilter handle, put it in the machine. It will be a little bit tight because I've actually just changed the group head seal as well. This is the old one, it was loose and sort of misshapen. So it'll be a bit tight to put on the handle, but that's fine. For the first few weeks, it'll be like that. Put your cup underneath, press the double button, and that's going to give you a shot of hot water. That's going to warm up your machine, your handle, and your cup as well. You can do that once or twice, up to you. I'll try the single button now just to give you an idea of how many seconds that one goes for. This machine actually doses by volume, water volume, not by time. So it'll have a timer, yes, on the screen, but it actually measures the water output. So if I were to block this water flow, it'll go basically forever because it's detecting zero water flow. Well, not really forever, but like a minute or 2 minutes. So yeah, now it's stopping at 13 seconds for the double shot because, again, it's by a certain amount of volume, and I think it's 100 mils on these for the double shot. We'll change that. We'll change that later. After I've done that, I'll put my cup aside, put it on top maybe. I'll grab a tissue, and I'm going to dry this portafilter. So drain all the water, and then dry it with a tissue. I'm going to be making a double shot. This machine, as you saw in the photos, it comes with a few baskets. Some of them are double shots, some of them are single. 4 baskets actually. So this one is the double shot single wall. You also have a double shot double wall. The double wall baskets are for pre-ground coffee. So if you buy your coffee pre-ground already, I would use those ones. But if you're using the grinder with fresh beans, which I am today, I recommend the single wall. And I'd recommend the double size instead of the single size because it'll be easier to make consistent coffees with and it'll taste better. Unless you have a health condition preventing you, otherwise stay with the double shot. So it takes 18 grams of ground coffee, and I'm going to use my scale here, my trusty scale from 4 years ago from eBay for $10 to make, to dose 18 grams. If you don't have a scale, that's fine. I can still teach you a couple of tricks to know how much coffee you should have. I haven't made a coffee on this machine, in this exact unit. It's my customer's. He set it at grind size 15 and grind amount 17. Let's see if those are appropriate for this bean. Whatever beans you use, you'll probably have to change the settings a little bit. So you have a few settings. You have a grind size and a grind time, and the brew time, the brew volume here, the shot volume. The grind size basically will dictate how fast or how slow your coffee will pour out of the handle. So if we use a very small, very fine grind size, very slow, the pour will be very slow and you'll get very little coffee in the cup. And on the other hand, if I increase the grind size to a very large number, like 30, your coffee speed will be very large and your pour will be more voluminous, or a larger shot in the end. So think of the grind size as if it's the think of the grind size as if it's the brew speed. You don't want the speed to be too quick, otherwise it'll be watery and diluted, or too slow, otherwise it'll be too thick and too bitter. So it has to be in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect, so you don't have to follow the numbers religiously, but it should be close enough. And hopefully in this video I'll set up the settings so that they can be close enough so you can use it straight away. Enough talking, let's actually grind. I will start the grinder and I'll probably stop it halfway just to measure. I am using the Aldi brand of beans, the Lazio dark roast. I highly recommend Aldi. So that's just over half. Got 9 grams. I will let it go. I recommend that when you stop it halfway, or that you should stop it halfway and press it down just to make more headspace. Okay, that is our double shot. We may have to increase it by a little bit. So I was aiming for 18. This only gave me 15. So I'll increase it by 1.5 seconds. And let's measure it again. That's about 17. Yeah, I'll leave it on 18.5. It's okay to be a little bit under 17. It's okay to be a little bit under 18, but over is more problematic. So once you finish grinding your coffee, I want you to spread it around the portafilter with your hand. Make sure it's roughly even before you press it with the tamper. And then press it nice and firm into the basket. Make sure it's flat, not wonky to one side or the other. And when you take it out, just give it a polish so it's nice and clean. If you don't have a scale, that's fine. You can still make good coffee. Just make sure to sort of follow my settings. And also, once you press the coffee, look at the depth of the tamper. So I've got about 17.5 grams. This silver part will disappear when you have the correct amount of coffee. And watch how it disappears, just like that. If you can still see some of the silver after you've pressed the coffee into the handle, that's too much coffee. You have to trim some of it. Your machine comes with a trimming tool. It's this aluminium square that scrapes off the top layer and make sure it's at the correct height. And you do that after you've pressed it with this tamper. But we have confirmed that this silver part is indeed disappearing and it's the correct amount of coffee. This is what it looks like. If you want to, it's like 0.5 centimeter, maybe 1 centimeter from the edge. If you want to do it by eye instead of looking at the tamper. Right, clean the edges, make sure there's no loose coffee, and lock it in. I'm going to drain this water now. You also have a hot water tap. You turn it away to do the hot water, and you turn this knob up to you to do the steam. We're doing the hot water now, so it'll give you clean hot water straight from the boiler. It's good for a few things. It's good to warm up your cups. It's good to make tea bags if you want. I use it to add a little bit of hot water to my cup so that I can add some sugar at the bottom. But it looks like we're out of sugar, so I'll probably just have to use hazelnut syrup. That's alright. Whatever flavor or sugar or sweetener you use, I highly recommend you add it before the coffee is poured. It'll mix more easily if you do it before. Add a little bit of hazelnut syrup. I'm going to reset my scale again and we'll measure the output now. So we measured the input at 18 grams. The output should be double of that. So espresso typically or traditionally is a 2-to-1 ratio. So that means for every gram you grind into the handle, you want 2 grams going into your cup. So we've got 18 grams in here. We want 36 grams in here. That should happen in 30 seconds, give or take. And again, I remind you that you don't have to be perfect with the settings. It doesn't have to be exactly 30 seconds or exactly 36 grams or even exactly 18 grams. You can see I've got 17 grams in here. 17 and a bit. So you don't have to follow the numbers exactly, but if you follow it roughly, you should be in sort of a good starting point to see and experiment with different settings. You can change the button lengths on these two, the single and the double buttons. I'm going to change the double button to give me about a 35 to a 40 gram shot. So I want to do the double shot custom, and then it'll start making coffee, and then I will stop it once I'm happy with the volume, and it will actually save that. Okay. It started pouring at around 8 seconds, coming nice and smooth out of both spouts. Maybe one faster than the other, but that's not really an issue. What's important is that it's not coming out too quick, nor is it coming out too slow. I would say it's maybe a bit on the slow side, but we'll let it go for another 5 seconds before we stop. Okay, that's 38 seconds. So on the slower side actually, but that still doesn't mean it's not a drinkable shot. In fact, it looks really good. It had some good crema. This is 34 grams. That looks like a really good shot. This is what 34 grams looks like. If you don't have a scale, you can just eyeball it. Again, I do that most of the time when I'm not making these videos. This is what approximately 35 grams looks like in this sort of takeaway cup. So now your next coffee will be roughly similar settings if you use the same settings and the same beans. If I were to do this again, I'll probably increase the grind size by 1 or 2 numbers to let the coffee flow more easily. And so that means we will be getting our double shot instead of 38 seconds, maybe 32 or 30 seconds. So just to make it go quicker, we'll increase the grind size by 1 number. I might let you do that because you'll probably be using different beans than me. So you do the changes as you see fit. Use my settings when you get the machine. If the coffee is flowing too slowly, increase the grind size by 1 number, reduce the grind amount by half a second, and then press the double button. Why do you increase the grind size? To make the coffee flow quicker. Why do you reduce the grind amount? Because the larger grind size will grind a bit easier than the smaller grind size. So it will actually speed up the grinder. But again, don't be too focused on that. If you have a scale, just follow that. If not, I think you should be fine if you just eyeball things. Now that's my espresso shot. I can drink this straight away, and it'll be called espresso. I can add hot water, a bit of hot water. It'll be called a long black or an Americano. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some milk. I'm gonna grab some fresh cold milk. I'm gonna put it in my jug. You've got the jug included with this package. It's the standard Breville jug. It's a pretty good one. I'm using a slightly smaller one because I'm taking this travel mug. But the basics for steaming are the same. When you make lattes or cappuccinos, it's all about positioning. So a couple of things I will be focusing on is the depth. The deeper I sink this wand into my milk, the less foam I'll be getting. So if I go really deep into the milk, it'll just be heating the milk really when I'm steaming, not really frothing the milk. If I go closer to the surface, so that means if I drop down the jug, it will be injecting air into the milk from those top layers, and it'll be like sort of churning and like aerating the milk from the top layers, so that'll be giving it more foam. And the other thing is, so apart from depth, I want to focus on the angle. So I want to keep the wand at the edge of the jug and at an angle sort of like this to keep it spinning as I'm doing the steaming process. It's easier if you do it yourself or you watch better YouTube videos that focus the camera from the top side. But this is the basics that I do, just the depth and the sort of tornado generating angle. Turn it on. It'll take about 5 seconds to start steaming. Let it purge that water, and then turn it off. Position yourself. Turn it back on. So for the first few seconds, I'm gonna be a bit deeper just to keep the milk spinning. Once it starts spinning, I'm gonna lower my jug. See, once I lower my jug, the sound changes. It's more of a hissing sound. This hissing sound means I'm aerating the milk. I'm giving it foam. So I'll do this for about 10 seconds. And then I'm going to raise the jug. See, when I raise it, it even changes the sound because it's no longer aerating the milk, it's just heating it. I'm going to keep it spinning and spinning and spinning until it's too hot to the touch. When I can't touch it for a second or so, I'll turn it off. That's usually about 60, 65 degrees Celsius. Oh, that's beautiful texture. Unbeatable texture, I should say. Very, very smooth. Very quickly, you want to do two things before you turn off the machine. Well, three things really. And I'll do this before pouring my milk. I will purge the wand, so turn it on for a second or two until it gives you steam or water, just to clean the hole. As you saw, a bit of milk came out. Maybe you didn't see that because the camera's far. But a little bit of milk came out from the hole. That's good. That means we've cleaned it. If you don't do this step, sometimes you'll turn on the machine the next morning and nothing will be coming out because that milk that's stuck in the hole formed a bit of like a clot, like a plug. So we don't want that. Next is grab a wet towel and scrub the wand. It gets really hot. You don't want the milk to bake and form a layer on it. So just scrub it off straight away and it cleans nice and easy. And lastly, you want to clean the portafilter. So just, oops, sometimes it gets stuck on top. Get your coffee, the used coffee, and knock it into the bin. Sometimes it takes a couple of knocks. You can clean this in the sink. You can clean it on top of the machine, or under the machine here. So press one of the buttons. It'll give you a little bit of hot water. It'll clean it nice and quick, and it'll also sort of clean the shower screen on top here. There we go. That's all done. I'm gonna get my milk here. If you want to be extra nice to your machine, just give it a wipe with a tissue or a cloth. It'll always pick up on a few coffee granules that you missed, even if you flushed. So it's always nice to do that extra step. And then turn it off. It's ready to make another coffee or go back to sleep. Once you finish with steaming your milk, grab the jug and knock it on the counter a few times to break any big air bubbles that you have. And then swirl it around to mix. Do this step a couple of times until the surface is nice and smooth. If you're skilled, if you're a barista, if you have a bit of training on how to steam milk, you can actually achieve some latte art. I think I'm not the most dexterous person in the world, so I actually struggle to get latte art, but I get the texture required for latte art. So today I've got some really smooth milk out of this machine, and I think you can do that on a daily basis as well if you do some practice. And you can even get some latte art if you know your way around a milk jug. Let me show you what the final result looks like. This is the latte that I'm going to be having. Looks really delicious. It's got a couple centimeters of foam, so we did the right thing with the steaming. I think you'll love this machine. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate, and I will see you soon. Cheers.